Hey everyone, how's it going? Another stream today, another unit update. So, I was originally excited for this unit, honestly, because Shift Logia is a unit that some people have been wanting for a long time, and Logia is a great unit. Like, he's at my home screen right now, just to show him off. He's a great unit, and he has been a strong unit for an incredibly long time, and it can still be used right now if you really want to. You could get him 6th Enhance, I believe he has it already soon, and he's going to still be able to do lots of damage and inflict ailments, and he's still a great unit to this day. Especially skill 3 does a lot, but Shift Logia, I've heard a bit about him. I've been reading up of what people have been thinking of him and his performance and everything, and it just doesn't seem like Shift Logia is that great. But we will have a look at him today and everything that this update brings. But personally, I don't expect this stream or this update to be as exciting as the collab. It's definitely not going to be. I think this point, these next 2 weeks, probably going to be very chill. Probably not going to be that much going on. Probably just going to be chilling on the event and doing the event and hoping to get him from tickets, and that's probably it. Most people are going to be doing that just because I think if you like Logia, you can probably go for him, but we'll be talking how he performs later today. And most people probably don't have that many crystals left over because of the collab that we just had, and Renna being a must pull unit. You should have gotten her. If you didn't, then I don't know what the hell you were doing, because she was so great. You should definitely have her on your account at this point, because a lot of people are saying that she was amazing. But let's have a look at Logia Assassin's hair. Logia Assassin. Basically, this shift form is like when he was brainwashed by God of Ruin, and that technically means that this form is before the first Logia form that we've got currently, so it makes sense that they would make a unit like this, which is brainwash version of the normal form, which they've done for a few other units. So let's have a look at him. I think he is a great unit. Like, his art style and everything looks very cool, and as you know, Logia just a great unit in general, so people will be excited about this unit when you first see him, and I was too. And what resistance is, he has a resistance to everything, and that is a great thing about Logia, is his original form also has resistance to every ailment, so that's pretty useful. He's a soldier type, makes sense. Stats looking okay, high HP and strength, defense of mine okay too, nothing really notable there. Absolute resistance is minus 32 light because he's going to be a dark absolute attacker. Now, his original form was a earth unit, so it is a bit of a difference. He is a massive difference, he's a massive change from his original form, and it's sad because his original form is so good that he didn't need to change that much. All they needed to do was just improve his original kit and kind of keep his skills basically the same or very similar and just improve it. That's all they needed to do, but they kind of screwed it up. But let's have a look at his abilities. His skills are kind of a disappointment to me because the original Logia had ailments on his skills, and we'll probably be comparing the two in a moment, but you can see his skill 1, just a normal dark combo attack skill. Same with his skill 1, it's a leap, wide area dark combo attack. Skill 3, pull in one enemy for a wide area dark combo attack. They're all just dark combo attacks, so it is a bit underwhelming for me because original form could inflict ailments. I know for sure he could inflict stun on his skill 3, it was pretty good. And I liked him for that reason, because ailment units are quite rare, and I just really enjoy those ailment units since they're very fun. In my opinion, I think melee was the Logia 2.0 that we wanted, even though it wasn't Logia. It was the closest type of unit that we have gotten that was similar to the original Logia form, and they both had 2 swords. His special, on the other hand, is okay. It's just a dark combo attack, but it does have a chance to give rot, which Logia does have on his special too, on his original form, so rot is something that most units, pretty much every unit in the game doesn't have, but Logia is kind of unique to Logia, so he has it on his special. I think it would have been amazing if he had some way to inflict rot on his skills or his physical attacks or something. That would have been amazing. But I understand that rot doesn't count as one of these basic ailments, so every unit in the game is gonna have 0 resistance to rot, so that would be a problem if it was too strong. And also you could use your skills and inflict it on your skills. That would be pretty strong, but I was hoping for something like that. Dark Comb attack to one enemy, chance to give rot, damage cap plus 15,000, it's okay. I'm mostly going to be using that for the rot debuff. Then we go on to the traits. There is a lot going on for the trait 1, there's a lot, and I think it's an interesting trait. Let's just read it first though, because it is a bit of a weird one. It's not super reliable, but 2 seconds after battle start and every 6 to 10 seconds after. So it doesn't apply at the start of battle, only 2 seconds after the battle starts. And every 6 to 10 seconds afterwards, so it's a random number between 6 and 10. Which is annoying a bit. Surround unit with a medium area decay swamp for 5 seconds. So I think this is cool. I do like this idea. And this could have made him pretty good, in my opinion, because having a unique debuff, a unique effect on the unit is always something that we like to see and usually makes units incredibly strong. Like, we've seen a lot of units like that. Like, Summer Sarah has her unique debuff, and Jian, and units like that. Unique debuffs are amazing, we know this. So, the only problem with this is, just read the first bit, the uptime on this isn't that great. I mean, it's okay, but it's not 100%. So it lasts for 5 seconds, right? And you are guaranteed to have some time that the debuff isn't going to be active, because there's no chance that once the 5 seconds is up that it's going to activate automatically, because it's between 6 and 10 seconds. So there's going to be at least 1 second of downtime, which is unfortunate, and at worst it's going to be 5 seconds of downtime. But you've also got to remember that first 2 seconds of the battle it can't activate too, so it's an interesting one, but you kind of have to work around it. If you're focusing on maximum DPS, then you're going to want to use basically all of the skills in those 5 seconds, and then once those 5 seconds are up, you kind of have to do something else, like maybe building back up your SCT or doing some debuffs or something. And then once the buff's back up, then you can start using the skills again. Some kind of system like that would work pretty well. So when the unit is in the swamp area, so when Logia's in the swamp area, then he gets 40% more damage for his skills and 22,000 damage cap. So this is amazing, and since he's a dual wield unit, this is going to be incredibly strong. But the problem with this is there's so much damage cap locked behind this decay swamp, and it's a bit of a problem because, well, at least the numbers I'm seeing, his DPS isn't that great to begin with. So his DPS without this decay swamp active is going to be pretty low, and there are definitely way better options, especially if you have Bradley. He's probably going to be a better DPS than this Logia, at least what I've seen so far, and Bradley's definitely going to be more reliable. But it's an interesting one. I just think it's kind of very situational, or at least it's conditional, and it's not always going to happen, so don't always like that. When enemy is within the swamp area, then it gives the enemy a decay debuff, which gives physical / magical attack damage minus 20%, and a defense / mind minus 25% debuff. So that is good because it's a unique debuff, and I like that. I do really like that. The only thing about this is that obviously the debuff is only going to be active, like it says here, enemy loses the decay debuff when leaving the swamp area, or if an enemy or ally uses a special. So the debuff's not going to be active all the time. The only good thing is that all of the skills here are closer range skills, so it is going to be likely that you're probably going to be in the decay swamp and the enemy's going to have the debuff at the same time, but it isn't crazy. I mean, it sounds really good, it's just in practice, apparently in practice it's not as good as it sounds, which is disappointing. But could have been very good. And the good thing about this is if the enemy's in the decay swamp, then all of your teammates are also going to benefit from the extra damage because the enemy is going to have that debuff, so that is somewhat useful. So that's going to be, is a bit useful, and I think that could make it good in PvP, but I just don't think it's a good PvP unit, because from the testing it's not that great in there either. So it's an interesting trait 1. It's mostly about the decay swamp. Yeah, basically only about the decay swamp buff. It's interesting. And then trait 2 is the kind of basic trait with more damage and damage cap. So when you equip 2 weapons, you get skill and special damage 30% and 10,000 damage cap, which is nice. But next part of this is damage to human types plus 30% and damage cap 5,000. So that does limit his usage a little bit. And I mean, we had units recently like Claude, who was kind of similar in focusing most of his damage and mitigation against human type enemies. Logia has something similar but not as good. It's just a little damage boost and damage cap against human types, so it's good. It's just locking more of his damage and damage caps behind human type enemies, and if you're up against bosses, then they're not going to be a human type, so most of the time, and that's just going to suck. Nullify decay debuff, rot resistance +2, if weak to rot, gain rot resistance. So basically what that means is that obviously if he is in the decay swamp, then yeah, this is probably preventing him from getting debuffed from the enemy's decay swamp. So if Logia is attacking another Logia, so if there's 2 Logias attacking each other, then they basically can't debuff each other. That's basically all it is, and it's not that useful if you think about it, because when's that going to happen? Hardly ever. Only in PvP, and literally nowhere else in the entire game is going to matter at all. Nullifying the decay debuff does not matter in the slightest in basically 99% of content in the game, and rot resistance +2, literally the same thing. It doesn't matter at all. So again, I mean, these traits to me, they look good on paper because there are good damage modifiers here and good damage caps, and it's a decent decay swamp is an interesting mechanic, and it sounds good on paper, but if you really look in depth and have done the testing, then it's not actually that amazing. And from the testing that I've seen, he isn't that great. So I haven't tested him myself personally, so we'll be able to do that later on, even if we don't get him today. But they look like good traits, and if you like Logia, you'll probably be tempted to get him, but there's anniversary starting soon. It looks good, honestly, yeah, but I'm not that excited about these traits now I really read in depth about these traits. So let's have a look at the skills next. Attack at max, fighting spirit 5, critical at 3, advanced aim, virus, proud force. These are all the basic skills that you usually get on a physical DPS unit. Illusion. Corrosion Fang is quite good. I do like this, honestly. Chance to debuff enemies during normal attacks, so physical attacks do plus 20% damage. It has been occasionally useful, but only on units that do normal attacks. Like, on V, it would be amazing. Auto critical, auto haste, shadow armor, take less damage from light, I think. It kind of useful. Gale Force, more SCT. This one's a unique one, I think. At max MP, strength plus 30%. It's going to be useful in PvE, yes, but in Arena and Guild vs Guild, which is going to be starting soon, you can't benefit from this at all. Dark High Drive, Attack Raise 3, Critical Raise, a lot of good damage skills there, so that's nice. Dark Weak Point, Breakthrough 2, get more damage cap when hitting Dark Weakness, it's okay, less speed, more movement speed, dual wield makes sense, because original Logia, you had to equip 2 swords on him, and he has 2 swords in his sprite, in his artwork, so it would make sense for him to use dual wield. It wouldn't make sense at all if it was single wield. Twin wield boost 3. The same type, yeah, so you have to have 2 of the same weapon, so ideally 2 swords. You get more damage cap, okay, then sword high boost and giga boosts. That's fine, special boost 2, quick trigger, Dawnable Spirit. These are all just basic skills. There isn't really anything too special here because we've seen a lot of these skills before, so they aren't really that exciting, but they are decent damage modifiers at least. Most of them are aimed towards damage. Now that I'm seeing this, there isn't really much to help his damage mitigation and allow him to tank hits. I don't think he's going to be able to tank at all. Combat Master 2, whatever. I mean, as long as you're spamming skills, that'll be some damage bonus, I guess. Rapid Recovery, Independence. I usually don't care about Independence because when the unit is the only one in the battle, it isn't really gonna... Like, what's the point? The only point is when you're doing round 1 in Guild versus Guild and using 1 unit, but he's not going to be good for that, is he? No, probably not. Not at all. So, most of the time, it's just going to be a wasted skill that could have replaced this with something better. And then we get to the unique skills, which get more interesting. So, Decay Manipulator. I like this skill. When defeating an enemy with a decay debuff, restore SET by 10 seconds. Any way to restore more SET is very valuable on literally any unit. SET is very important. Physical attack damage taken from enemies with a decay debuff minus 20%. That's great too. It's just that that alone isn't going to be enough for him to tank some hits. Especially in PvP, he's just going to die easily, I expect, because there's literally hardly anything else in his kit that can help with tanking hits. So it's something, and I guess it can be useful in PvE content a little bit too, so I guess that's something. It's only physical damage though. Critical damage to enemies with debuffs. The thing to think about it is that the decay debuff is a debuff, obviously, so that's going to help a little bit. You're getting more critical damage, and critical damage cap is not really that much, honestly. 2 weapons equipped, special damage 50%, critical rate 5% for the second hit of Dwarven type skills. I mean, I'm just not too excited about these skills, honestly. Close combat, physical damage 20% of damage cap to the closest enemy, so it's only like a single target skill because it's to the closest enemy, so only one enemy, the closest enemy to you. So if you're not targeting an enemy and you're hitting them, then they're not the closest one, then they're not going to get anything. There's this whatever. Fatal Strike. Chance for physical attacks to insta-kill. Okay, we like seeing that, especially since he's dual wield. That's good. In arena and guild battle, or against bosses and other no insta-kill effects, or enemies, physical attack damage plus 20%, and when physical attacking give defense minus 10% of deal damage. So this is a great skill because you have a chance to insta-kill, and you have piercing and 20% more damage in PvP content. So it's okay, but that's not going to be enough, honestly. And then you've got his Sigmund Heart skills, which are just basic damage caps and less physical damage taken. So I think his skills are okay, honestly, but at least from the testing I've seen other people do, it hasn't been enough. And majority of his skills here are aimed towards damage. That's what I'm mostly seeing. And if you look at the damage caps, one thing to note is most of his damage cap is situational, or conditional I should say. His DK Swamp, 22,000 damage cap is a hell of a lot of damage cap, especially since he's dual wield, you kinda need that. But there's no way at all to guarantee that 100% uptime. It's not possible with this unit, so it's... I mean, what if you could have 2 Logias in the same team? I don't think it's even going to matter at all, because they're still going to have some downtime of the buff, so literally impossible to get 100% uptime of the DK Swamp, even if you have 2 Logias in the team or something, or a full team of Logias in multiplayer. It's still going to be some downtime. So, I mean, it's I think his kit is interesting, and to me, when I read it from the showcase video, the original video that they posted, it looked good to me, and I thought he was going to be a pretty good DPS unit. But it turns out from testing so far that his DPS is not that high, and his damage in PvP is not that high either. So, from the testing other people have done, he doesn't seem like a great unit so far. And if you just think about that, if he doesn't have high damage, and he doesn't have good DPS, then what is his use? I mean, if you ignore his DPS, then what else does he bring to the table? The only thing he brings is a decay swamp. So the only two things this unit brings is a decay swamp, unique effects, and damage. And that's basically all this unit brings. And you could argue that his special can give the rot debuff too, so yes, when you really look at it, his kit, everything he brings doesn't bring too much, and the original form of Logia was actually more of an interesting unit than this guy, which is depressing because this guy could have been like the new top DPS or a new amazing unit, but it's just didn't turn out like that. One thing I do like is that he can restore SET, and original Logia does have that too, but not the same way. Just when an enemy has an ailment, he restores SET because he got paranoia. This is kind of an alternative to paranoia. If this was on a different unit, like if you're defeating an enemy that has a debuff, then restore SET. Something like that on Thouser would have been amazing, honestly. I think he had one of those on his page sword, but anyways. Honestly, his kit to me seems like he should be a good DPS, but he isn't, so his use isn't really that good. But we will get on to trying him out later, because personally I haven't tried him myself. I've only heard what other people have said about him, and that's really it. So we'll try him out later. He should still be a fun unit. His skills seemed okay, but not incredibly fast, and that is a big factor, because he does have decent damage caps when he's in the decay swamp, but if his skills aren't fast enough, or if you can't spam them, then it just doesn't matter if they're not good enough skills. So we'll look at him more later on, but honestly, I was expecting him to be a better unit, and considering the other permanent units that we have gotten in the past, like Foul, she was an incredibly good DPS unit as a permanent unit too, so that's kind of the expectations on future permanent units now, and Logia just doesn't reach those expectations for most people at this point. Let's have a look at the Ark. This will be less interesting to most people, but I might as well talk about it anyway, just to make sure if there's anything noteworthy with this Ark, because it may be worth using tickets on or something like that. I do have a lot of tickets saved up, so maybe I could do that. Continuously cut HP and boost skill damage based on how much unit HP is left. So basically, if you're at max HP, then you get 45% more physical damage, well, skill damage. So that's a good thing. But obviously, you continuously cut HP. But if you think about it though, if I really think about it, it's all skill damage, and 45% is a lot of damage. And as long as you have some way of healing, like if you have Renner in your team, or some kind of healer, or if you just have a lot of crit and Proud Force, then you should be fine to most of the time be at full health anyways, so that's actually a pretty good trait by itself, and you could benefit from that in most content. Like you could put this in on an arena unit if you want, and allow them to do 45% more skill damage. It sounds okay to me, honestly. I think it's good. And then when you're close enough to the enemy, physical damage taken minus 20%. Useful too. Definitely going to help on close range physical damage units, but if you think about where that's going to be useful, you kind of need to be using a tanky close range physical damage unit if you want to use this arc in PvP. So otherwise, if you're at low health, then you're not really getting any damage bonus from this trait. That's just one thing to think about. When the unit gets a new status ailment, auto cast Grand Brave. Kind of useless, honestly, but if the unit doesn't have Grand Brave, if they only have Brave, then yes, it's a little bonus. And if the stats ailment is something like Poison, which doesn't matter anyways, then I guess that is okay. So I think this trait isn't terrible, and I could see it getting some use because you're getting a maximum of plus 45% skill damage, which is amazing, and a maximum of minus 20% physical damage taken when you're close enough to the enemy, which is good too, and you could get Grand Brave if you get status ailment, so it's mostly for damage. I think it could be useful, maybe. I can't see who I would use it on right now, but I think it could be useful. As long as you have some way of healing, I think it's going to be a good trait. Now the skills, I haven't really looked at these, but I don't think they're going to be that amazing. When close to death, HP recovery from allies active skills plus 20%. Not that great, honestly, because when's that going to matter? HP recovery from allies active skills. So when the current unit is close to death, then the HP recovery from other allies is more to that unit. I don't really care because Renner healers usually just have enough healing anyway, where you don't need this. You don't need 20% more healing. The only way that I could see this being useful is in PvP, if they're using like Spirit Riot and Megius for less healing, then yes, this could be somewhat useful, but they got to be close to death as well, so like, I just don't see myself using it. Now, I think the main thing that I've heard about this unit, well this arc, I mean, that is good, is Dark High Drive. I'm pretty sure Dark High Drive was only on a limited arc before, so if you don't have that arc, or any limited arc with Dark High Drive, then this is a way to get Dark High Drive if you don't have it accessible currently on any of your arcs. So that makes this arc pretty valuable, having Dark High Drive on this. If you don't have it on your account, this is going to be pretty valuable for you. And then the final skill here sounds interesting. It's kind of like it's the same as Holy Ensemble, but for Dark. So if at least 2 allies have the skill Shadow Ensemble set, then boost Dark attack damage. It's the same as the Light one, but for Dark instead. And I have used it in the past a few times, Holy Ensemble. And the only time I use it is if I'm using like a light damage focused team. So for this, it'd be the same situation where I would want to have a dark damage focused team, and now I'm thinking about it, there are good teams to build around that. You could use Freya for dark magic, so that's 1, and this does boost dark attack damage, so that's good. It will apply to magic too. So Freya's going to be 1, and then Shift Logia could be a second one because of his charisma, giving more dark damage cap. That's going to be amazing. And then a third one, I guess, could be a support like Renner with Shadow Ensemble. And then if you're having a fourth unit, then it could be any unit like Bradley, if you really want high DPS, or Lelouch, because he's a great support. So you do have good options for a full dark focus team, which will make this quite valuable too. So I think these 2 skills are going to see quite a bit of use, mostly Dark High Drive. If you don't have it, you might want to try and get this, so it may be worth using a few tickets, up to you. But we do have Anniversary coming up, so you're probably going to be getting a lot of free summons, and you could get this arc from tickets from the event, or free pulls if you're lucky. So don't pull for this arc, don't spend crystals for it, but if you need it, if you need the Dark High Drive, then Just hope you get it at some point, and try to get it from tickets or something. Shadow and Symbol, I think it's good. Archive Reward, basically, this is just an accessory which gives 2000 health, and that's it. There's literally nothing else to this accessory, it just gives 2000 HP, which, I don't know, it's okay, but like, 2000 HP, when's that gonna be useful? Not too much. You could do something better. There are better options. So, it's a good arc, honestly. I think the traits, something I could see myself using, something that I can see being useful. And the learnable skills are actually pretty solid. Especially if you need Dark Hard Drive. Shadow and Symbol is definitely something I could see myself using for a full dark damage focused team. And we do have a lot of dark units, so I think it's a decent arc. I would like to have it, so I'm probably going to be using a few tickets, which I do have a few tickets, so maybe we can get it. I think that would be great. And Logia, we'll showcase him a bit more later. We will be definitely showcasing him and testing him out in the unit test play quest stage, just to try out his skills and how he performs and everything. We'll do that because I haven't tried him myself yet, so I am interested to see how he performs, even though I've heard from other people he hasn't been that great so far. But it does look pretty cool, so let's leave that for the moment. We'll come back to the gacha very soon, but I don't have any plans to spend any crystals in the stream because, as you saw, I did remove the summons from the title just because of the feedback I heard from other people. Him not being that strong, I don't want to pull for him, so I'm not going to be pulling for him. We're just going to be having fun with testing him out in the unit test play quest and seeing what this update brings mostly, but I did farm the event earlier, so we have 7 tickets. Maybe we can get him from those tickets, but I highly doubt it. It's worth getting everything from this event trading space, because why not? This is from the collab. I'm pretty much trading everything already that I wanted. Now, his paid equipments I haven't looked at, but I heard they're decent. Let's have a look at the sword first. Now, original Logia had 2 paid swords, so it's interesting that this one doesn't also have 2 paid swords. He has 1 and an accessory. So, Dark Attribute Sword makes sense. Dark damage 20%, damage cap 2000. When defeating an enemy with decay, surround it with a medium area decay swamp for 10 seconds. You know, think about it. That is pretty strong, and that can... I have a few questions with this though. Does this mean that it spawns a second decay swamp? That's what it sounds like, which means that it won't affect the trait 1. So there will probably be 2 decay swamps active, which is interesting to think about. And for 10 seconds does give more uptime, so that's a good thing, but only problem is you've got to defeat an enemy. That's the only thing, is that it's conditional, and if you're not defeating anyone, if you're up against the boss which doesn't spawn any minions, then you're not going to benefit from that at all, but I think it's okay, and that would help with his uptime for his DK Swamp, definitely. I think that's good, but if you just read the first part of 20% damage and 2000 damage cap, that's just a basic thing that we see on every paid weapon, so it's okay, honestly. I don't think I'm going to be getting any of these paid equipments myself. Accessory, HP, strength, defense, right? Physical attack damage taken minus 10%. That's nice. And damage taken from enemies with a DK debuff minus 20%. So this kind of helps him a little bit, be a bit more tanky, but as you saw earlier, in his kit, he doesn't have that much to allow him to tank damage, so if you're using him in PvP, this accessory really isn't going to help enough for him to survive. This is only really going to help against bosses and PvE content. This isn't really going to help in PvP at all, because he's probably just going to die anyway, because this accessory isn't enough by itself to allow him to survive against most units in PvP. So it's a good accessory, and it also gives curse resistance, so it's solid. The only thing it gives though is taking less damage. This gives damage in the decay swamp. So when defeating an enemy with decay, surround it with a medium area decay swamp. So if you just defeat an enemy, it's not going to do anything. They have to have the decay debuff. Honestly, they are not that exciting to me. If this unit was amazing, then I would probably see myself getting these, but since he hasn't been performing for other people well in PvP and his DPS isn't that great, then I don't see myself getting any of these at all, and I don't really recommend to get any of these. But if you were to pick one of them, I would probably recommend the sword, but if you've got a lot of swords, then you probably don't need it. It's just the problem is this accessory doesn't really bring much for it to be worth it. The only thing you're getting is you're taking less damage, so if you don't care about taking less damage, if you just want him to be a damage dealer, then you don't need this at all, and you should just get the sword instead. And the sword does sound more unique, and is probably a better option, honestly, so yeah, I'd probably get the sword. The accessory, only really going to be useful if you want to use him in PvP, but he's not really going to be a PvP unit. Even though his trait does give him damage against human types, it's not enough for him to be strong in PvP, and we have better options, so I don't really recommend this accessory at all. This sword, probably one I would recommend if you were to choose one, but I don't think any of them are worth getting in my opinion. You could get prisms, but they're the last option, obviously. You should probably get the sword first, and that's probably where I would leave it at. So, paid equipments aren't that crazy, in my opinion. Isn't anything else here. So, that's everything. Let's go back to the gacha, because I do at least want to use my tickets and just have a look at what's here. So we do have a free pull every day for the next 2 weeks, so make sure to do that, because you could get Logia or the Ark if you're lucky from a single free pull, so it's worth doing just in case. You might as well log in and do it, no reason not to. And I've got 7 tickets, so I want to use those. And these ticket gachas are still up. If you have any tickets left, make sure to use them. Should have already used them by now. And I might try and get the Ark on those tickets from some of those, but I don't know yet. I mean, I think I might consider using some tickets, because I think the Ark for Shadow and Assemble is going to be pretty useful. So let's use these 7 tickets. And my original plan was going to be using some free crystals, and if you haven't already noticed, I'm currently on the Steam version, so I'm not going to be using any paid crystals today, just because I don't want his paid equipment, and I'm just going to be saving for the anniversary. So let's use these tickets, but I don't expect to get any reds in this. If we do, that's great. If we get Logia, that's the best case scenario, but I don't expect anything at all, because there's a blue. There's not going to be anything here, but I am a little bit tempted to do a few summers with free crystals, but after hearing the feedback from other people's testing with Logia, I'm just not that interested to use free crystals. So there's a dupe. That's all you're getting. Great. Wow. I'm not worried about getting this unit, honestly, because I personally myself don't see where I would want to use him. If he doesn't have good DPS and he's not strong enough in arena and PvP, then where can you use him? Like, Nowhere, right? I don't get it. So I'm gonna use some of these tickets just in case we can get the Ark. And I know for a fact that Logia's not in here, but the new Ark is in here. So it's worth trying to get the Ark at least. So I think I'm just gonna use these three and skip them and see if one of them's gonna be the new one. But I would like to get Shadow Ensemble, so the Ark would be nice, but chances of that incredibly small. It has happened in the past. I remember in the past, I'm not going to watch these animations because they're just normal tickets. In the past, we did get something new from one of these tickets. It was pretty lucky, it was pretty insane. I'll use a couple of these because I haven't been using these in a while, and I don't really have a reason to save these right now. There's another red. It's not going to be anything new. If it is new, then the only thing I'm missing in this gacha is the new Ark, so you would know what it is if it's new, but obviously not. Yeah. Might as well use all these tickets while I have them, right? I'm still tempted to do a few free crystal summons, but I just... not that excited, honestly. That's that, then, I guess. This stream isn't going to be as long as the previous ones, because the collab was a lot more exciting. I might as well use these. I do have unit tickets, but I have no idea when I'm using them because I have Melza and Foul already. I'll use one of these. No reds, terrible, worst temple you could ever see in your entire life. Wow. Can I get at least one red? No. Well, last temple with tickets. I might do what I've done previously and just do single pulls until we get a single red, and then maybe that red can be something new, but I'm saving those. Yeah, this is a very chill update, honestly. There's not going to be much going on. Maybe I can get Logia from those daily pulls. I'm gonna do a couple of these, I guess, but I don't really expect anything at all. But I'll do a couple, just in case. But if we get a single red, then that's when I'm stopping. I don't care what it is, at all. And then we'll save the rest for the anniversary, because now I'm thinking about it, there's probably going to be another UR Ark releasing, I think. Can we get one red so I can leave, please? Because I don't want to pull on this banner. No. Well... I'm not going to do any more summons. It's the first time. I just don't really care too much about this banner. I think this Ark is probably something I'm more excited about than the unit this time around. Just because Logia, I just personally don't see where he can be used. Where I would rather use him over someone else. I just don't see it. So, it's going to be a skip for me. I'm going to be saving my current crystals for the anniversary that's coming up. And that's going to be way more exciting. We'll see what it brings. But what I'm expecting is a new DOH unit with a UR Ark. So for that reason, I would rather save my crystals for that, because maybe the UR Ark's going to be amazing and I want to pull for it. So if that's the case, best to save all my free crystals for that scenario. We'll see. So, what else is there to do? Well, let's test out Logia right now, let's go in this unit test play quest and actually try him out properly. So yeah, he's got all of his base skills and just that, so that's fine. Let's just see how he does, and I want to try out his skills and see how they perform, their animations and everything, how fast they are, and what his damage is like, and his special, because I haven't seen any of that yet. I am glad that they did release this unit test play quest for all the future unit releases, because it is quite useful. So his base skill stock 432, it's okay. Skill 1 not terrible. That's the decay swamp, by the way. It's very noticeable. Skill 2, you can see his damage cap is incredibly bad when the decay swamp is not active. And now when it's active, he's hitting 64k on those crits, which is okay. Skill 3 is just not that fast. I mean, the final hits are fast. It's just the first hit and then the second hit. The first 2 hits are just very slow. The last hits are pretty fast. The skill 2 seems pretty fast, honestly. Let's try the special and see what it's like. Does look cool though. He does a lot of screaming. Nice. Didn't even inflict rot. How disappointing. Well, let's kill this guy off. Right. So, I'm just seeing his performance right now. He's hitting basically 40k without the swamp, without being in the swamp, and he's hitting 64k on crits when in the swamp. And it's a problem really, because 40k is very low, 64k is decent enough, but his skills aren't incredibly fast, so his DPS is definitely going to be quite bad when he doesn't have the decay swamp active currently, so a bit worrying. 64k is good, and then you see the decay swamp's gone, almost. Now it's gone, he's hitting 39,000. It's quite bad. Now it's active again, 54k on normal hits, 64k on crits, yeah. I mean, I think what they did well was the animations looks pretty cool. The decay swamp effect is pretty nice. He does look cool on the unit as well. I like that animation. He's a cool unit, but that's kind of it. Like, I don't see myself using him. So, that's kind of all the testing I can really do for this unit, which is unfortunate, but there isn't really much else I can do for this guy. He is a disappointment, honestly, but I haven't done enough testing to really go in depth about him, but to me, it just seems like he should have been a high DPS unit or an ailment unit, but he isn't any of those, so they were kind of worried about him being as strong as this form, so they made him weak. That seems like the case. Anything else I want to do? Well, it hasn't even been an hour. Let's look at the news, because there are a few things that I want to have a look at. So, guild battles are going to be releasing, going to be starting very soon. I might as well look at the maintenance notice while I'm here, just to cover everything that is in the update, because there are a few interesting things in here. Obviously we know all of this stuff, guild battles, you can read that if you want, gachas, events, normal stuff. But 4.5 year anniversary login bonus. You can get up to 50 of those tickets, which is pretty nice. And a countdown login bonus. Get a rainbow potion at the end. Honestly, this login reward could have been a lot better. Login bonus could have been better. Because I've got a lot of rainbow potions right now, especially if you've been farming the collab that we just had. You could have had a lot of Mother Souls and rainbow potions at this point. Nothing interesting here. The Sigfin Hearts for units is pretty interesting. So, like, Rain is getting more damage caps and less physical damage taken. That's kind of the most important thing. And obviously everyone here gets plus 10 FC too. So, this could be something that people are excited about, maybe. But the damage caps here, 246,000, isn't a whole lot. Could have been higher, honestly. But he is still a decent PvP unit, so for that reason, I might consider getting his 6th Enhance, because taking less physical damage is going to help, and that plus 10 SC is going to help too, so this could be good for guild versus guild, maybe. So I might consider getting this. Baran, I don't care. That's about it. Lukel is one that most people are probably going to get because Lukel's still good. 4,000 damage cap isn't a whole lot, honestly. It could have been higher. Thunder magic, don't care. Non-stacking magic, she isn't a mage. They want her to be a mage, but she isn't a mage. She's a physical attacker. Less damage taken, minus 10% is good. Add an effect that restores SET when activating special. This one's pretty big. This one's pretty useful, because her special is basically the only reason why she's good. I mean, it's her special and her physical skills, a mixture of both, but this is something you're probably going to want to get, and I'm definitely considering doing that. And her 6th Enhance giving 10 SC. She does have also some other bonuses, which we'll have a look at in a second. Sevilla is getting some good damage caps, but that's kind of it. Who cares about Pockle? I don't. Here's something else that's interesting. So these units are also getting an adjustment to their traits. So Sevilla gets more damage. Tinkili gets more damage. Basically all these units are getting more damage. Here's the big one though. Guardian Angel Lukel is getting now a maximum plus 9% damage on her trait. So if I go and have a look in a minute on what her current trait is giving, I think it's like 30% or something. Actually, they would have changed it by now, but I think it was like 30 or 40% from her trait originally, but now it's 90%, so it's a good change. She's now getting more damage, so she's going to be more reliable, and she's going to have more damage caps if you get her 6th Enhance, and it's just a good bonus, good buff in general. Other units here, I don't really care much about the rest of these units, honestly. That's kind of it. I don't think there's really anything else interesting. Yeah, there's a Guild Battle Fort skin set if you really care about that, and some other updates. Isn't really much in the updates, is there? No. Guild Battle's getting released soon. If I have a look though, it doesn't say yet when it's going to start. It doesn't say yet when Guild Battle's going to start. I think it's going to be fun, and they did adjust it a bit, so I think Guild Battle's going to start off pretty fun. But if Guild Battle's a permanent thing, I definitely think people are going to get bored of it quite quickly in the next few weeks. But we'll just have to see how it does. And now this point is where I'm not entirely sure what else I can do, because there's literally not that much in this update compared to the collabs, and considering I don't really care about getting the unit and testing them out and building them, I can't really do much else in the stream. So let's just have a quick look at the event. But honestly, there isn't really much to it. There was a cutscene at the beginning, and that's kind of it. There isn't really any story unless I have to do this high difficulty stage. Treading Space we had a look at earlier, which doesn't really have anything special in it. just the normal stuff. Mission rewards, I already collected basically most of it, and that's basically it. Alchemy Lab, I might as well have a look at while I'm here. Yeah, obviously you can enhance his paid equipments, but I'm not going to be getting those at all. And that's basically it. So, honestly, this update is just an intermission in between the collab we just had and the 4.5 year anniversary. So, what I say is spend these 2 weeks to save for the anniversary. That's basically all this update is just a chill update with not much going on. It's a kind of a build up to the anniversary, and that's it. And then once the anniversary starts, there's probably a bunch of free stuff that we're getting, and probably some kind of new DOH unit with a UR Ark is what I expect. 1 or 2 DOH units maybe. It could be the Advocate of God units that we don't have yet. Or Prefect of God units. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but honestly, not much going on in this update, and I'm running out of things to say, so I guess my conclusion already is the fact that Logia, Shift Logia isn't that exciting because his DPS isn't that high. It should have been higher, honestly, than what it currently is, and his damage in PvP isn't that great either. And when you put those two things together, you just don't get a great unit, because the only content in this game is PvE and PvP. So if you don't have good DPS for PvE, and you don't have good damage or usability or useful things for PvP, then it just becomes a useless unit. That's all it is. So I just don't see him being used much, honestly. You're probably going to have some fun with him if you do get him, and if I were to get him from free summons, I would definitely try to build him and have some fun with him, but that's kind of it. I would definitely want to try him out and see how he performs, but I'm just not looking forward to getting him, so I'm not going to be pulling for him at any point. I definitely think you should be saving your crystals, because if you pulled in the collab, which you definitely should have, then if you're free to play, you may not have that many crystals left, depending on what you pulled on. So you should have Renner, and at this point you should be saving for the anniversary, and that's basically all this update brings. I think the most exciting thing about this update, in my opinion, is the Guild versus Guild that's going to be starting soon. I think that's going to be fun. I'm probably going to be having the most fun with Guild versus Guild, but for now, I think all I'm going to be doing for the next 2 weeks is just farming the event and doing Guild versus Guild and just playing different games at this point. So that's kind of where I'm at. I did farm a lot in the collab, and I caught up a lot in the collab. As you can see, I have 12 of these because I got like 3 or 4 from the collab doing a bunch of farming. I was doing like non-stop farming the last few days, so that was great. But now there's not much else to do. This is a very chill point. When permanent units release, usually there isn't much going on, so I just highly recommend to save the anniversary, because you never know what's coming around the corner. Could be something strong, probably going to be UR Ark and good banners releasing, so don't pull for Logia is the final conclusion that I've come to, and I don't think there's much else to it. Normal Logia is still an interesting unit, and he's just a more fun and interesting unit than the Shift version, honestly. Shift version should have been better than it currently is. The way he is currently, I just don't want him, so I'm not going to be pulling for him anytime soon. I think that's it for me. Literally 1 hour less than we usually would, just because there isn't really anything to do in this update yet. until Guild vs Guild starts, but that's going to be kind of slow as well. So right now, I'm not really going to be playing this game much in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be playing probably a lot of other games that I play, like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail and Honkai Impact 3rd. I play all those 3 games, and that's kind of what I've been playing recently. Not going to be doing much in the next 2 weeks. I'll be back in 2 weeks on a Thursday, should be, and I'm hoping, I think the 4.5 year anniversary should be in 2 weeks on a Thursday, I think so. That should be way more exciting than this update, because there's not much in this update. So, I think I'm finished here. I wish there was more in this update, but right now, there's not much I can do. So, I think I have to leave it here. But, thanks for coming anyways. I don't expect many people to watch the stream, honestly, because there isn't really that much going on in this update. So there isn't really much to talk about other than you don't need to pull for Logia, so wait for the anniversary and save crystals, and just farm the event in the meantime and have fun with Guild vs Guild and build your count up, and that's kind of it. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you in 2 weeks on that Thursday, and hopefully that should be the anniversary. Maybe there's going to be a Halloween event or something soon, but I think that's like next month or something, isn't it? October, November, we'll see, but I'll leave it there. Can't say anything else. I'll add the timestamps in a few minutes, I guess, because it should be fine. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye. I wish there was more to this stream, but honestly, not much I can do. Anniversary should be exciting, hopefully, so I'll see you then.